Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Ajoe21love. Fun week of action on episode number 73 of Sports OD Topics. We are officially at the halfway point of the NFL season. Week 9 just concluded with the Steelers and the Bears coming down to the wire 29-27. Interesting finish to week 9 of the NFL season. Of course, crazy finishes continued this week after a hocus pocus kind of week last week with 8 upsets or 8 underdogs, last week. This week it was 6, so a little less, but still a lopsided week. Also, I want to go over UFC 268, my thoughts on a pretty good card in itself, and also my thoughts on who's the best team in the NBA after the short start of the season. But first, go over recap of week 9. It's in the books. Stellar finishes to an interesting week. So, week 9 started on Thursday Night Football, Jets at Colts. Interesting lineup going into this game. I mean, both teams, Jets coming off that exhilarating performance against the Bengals last week. Coming in to Thursday night, could Mike White perform a similar performance? Not exactly 400 yards passing, but still a similar performance. Well, he was only in for a few drives against the Colts. He suffered a forearm injury, which knocked him out for the rest of the game. Josh Johnson, he filled in nicely, threw in 3 touchdowns, and they gave a scare late in the game. But Carson Wentz played his ass off, 3 touchdowns, 200 yards rushing out of the backfield, not much to say. Colts moved to 4-5 and are very much in the thick of things in the AFC playoff race. Then we moved to Sunday, which was chaotic nonetheless. We started with the Falcons going to New Orleans, played Saints. Falcons were up big, up by 18 points, but Saints climbed back. Trevor Siemian, Alvin Kamara made some plays late, and were ahead by 1 late, but all of a sudden, Cordero Patterson, who's coming up big lately for the Falcons, catches a big throw by Matt Ryan, sets him up in the red zone, and Young Waiku strikes in 27-25. Like I said with the Colts, Falcons very much in it, the NFC as a wild card in the running. And speaking of the chaos, it started here with the Broncos blowing out the Cowboys 30-16. Look, the Cowboys are one of the best offenses and one of the best teams this season. And obviously, we know Dak had that calf injury, which kept out the Vikings game. Here he comes in, and he felt off. The offense just felt off. Now, Tyron Smith also not playing, so that play a factor as well, protection. But yeah, Dak felt off the majority of the game. Tay Bridgewater had a nice game. Javonte Williams is becoming a star so far in the running game. He peeled off, and now every team has bad games. I get that. But the Cowboys now have to look at themselves and have to reevaluate because they were vying, you could say, for the number one seed. And this loss may put a damper a bit on those hopes. Denver, again, they started the season 3-0. They had that skid. They've won 2 straight, and they're 5-4 and could be dangerous for any team in the AFC if they are not paying attention closely. The Patriots are keep climbing the ladder. They win Carolina 24-6. Mac Jones getting more comfortable. Ramondre Stevenson had a good game. Hunter Henry, his 5th touchdown. I'm more and more happy that we paid him in the offseason. Sam Darnold, though, while I'm a Patriots fan, still, I'm disappointed and want to see more Sam Darnold because you don't want to see these young QBs, going into a new situation. Obviously, it looked good to start the year, and then it's peeled off. It's just unfortunate. But yeah, Patriots just a half a game out of first place in the AFC East. We did get some overtime on Sunday. Baltimore won it 34-31 against the Vikings. Vikings were ahead 17-3. It looked like the Vikings were gonna dominate this game, and for whatever reason, their offense just fell flat in the second half. Besides that kickoff return to start the second half, it just felt flat for most of the second half, and then they let the Ravens come back into it. Kirk Cousins did tie up late, but the Vikings had 2 possessions in overtime. They won the coin toss in overtime, it's just unfortunate. This is how they've been playing every game this whole season, and it's just unfortunate. Baltimore, Lamar Jackson, they are going to live and die by Lamar Jackson. Either he has a good game or he has a great and they win. Of course, they have a good defense as well, but you know, if he has a sour game, it's more likely they're not gonna come out the other end. But yeah, he pulled through, just molding and molding. Good for Lamar Jackson, and he is a pick also to look forward to in the MVP race, I will say. And another upset of the day, Browns in the jungle beat their rival Bengals 41-16. You know, the Bengals were having a good opening drive, and then just like a switch, click of a switch, Joe Burrow throws a 100-yard pick six, which turns the tide and the momentum. You know, with the controversy of the OBJ stuff and with Baker Mayfield, the Browns were able to fire back and answer and get back in the Browns football. You know, the Browns needed this more than the Bengals because, you know, people have been harping on the Browns. Obviously, they haven't looked as good as people thought they would 9 games through. And the Bengals, you know, their offense performed against Jets. Their defense and the rest of their team failed them. And here today, the consensus about the Bengals is they're a good team. They're perhaps a playoff team, but I don't think they're there as Super Bowl contenders yet. Because, I mean, I was talking to a friend of mine after the Bengals' big win over the Ravens, and I said that they were a playoff team, they're contenders, not Super Bowl contenders, and you know, I feel more right after the last 2 weeks. So good team, but the Browns needed this to go back to 5-4. And then the upset of the day, probably the upset of the year, in the Josh Allen Bowl. Josh Allen of the Bills for Josh Allen of the Jags, and Trevor Lawrence and Urban Meyer. Jags win 9-6. No, this is not baseball. This is football. 9-6. And defensive battle, you know, they just put too much on Josh Allen's plate. He threw it 47 times. They only ran 14 times. You know, Trevor Lawrence, he was knocked out of the game, but he came back in. And they both maneuvered the ball well. It's just both defenses bent but didn't break. So good for Jacksonville. This is pretty much their statement win. You know, if they lose every game left on their schedule, which I don't think is going to happen, but if it happens, they have this win to hang their hat on for this season. As for the Bills, The last 2 weeks, the last two games against Miami last week and now here, they have been stagnant on offense, and they need to find balance. Because I know Josh Allen, is great. He's a weapon, and he can make spectacular throws. But it's not always. You need to find balance, and you have two running backs for a reason. You have Zach Moss and you have Devin Singletary. You need to find balance in the offense. Because if not, you're going to get into games like that, and it's not going to look good. And because of that, like I said, they're only a half game ahead of the Patriots, and went from one of the best teams in the AFC and the NFL to now are hovering of a middle line that they don't want to cross. And then in a weird side-on game, Miami, the Dolphins, without Tua, Jacoby Brissett beat the Texans. Welcome back, Tyrod Taylor, winning 17-9. Mike Gesicki made some fun catches, made some very good catches, I must say, in this game. Good for Dolphins. They had their second win of the season, snapped their big losing streak. And Texans, they're just, they have some good players, and their defense, I must say, it's looking good. Defense, I will say, looking good, but their offense is just that. I mean, they had some drives inside the end zone, but they couldn't punch it in. And then back to another upset. Raiders lost in the Meadowlands to the Giants 23-16. Raiders, before talking about the Raiders 1-6, Giants, I will say, are playing hard, and for Giants, the last two seasons, I have put faith in, and I've been massively disappointed. Now, they have very good talent on both sides of the ball, but their record doesn't show it. However, they played hard, they're in games, and they showed up. They showed up against the Chiefs. They just couldn't punch in at the end. Nonetheless, good for Giants getting a big win. The Raiders, they're still good enough to be a playoff team. And who knows with this division. But this was a game they had to get. And it's just unfortunate. And then what was a tight game, one of the best games of the week. Chargers and a thrower beat the Eagles 27-24. Late, and Justin Herbert battled hard. Jalen Hurts did well. And late Dustin Hopkins field goal gave them the win. And they are back in the lead. And then another low-scoring game of the day. 13-7, the Chiefs won. But strange. This was... the Jags win I felt was better than this one for the Chiefs. Reason why I say that is because Josh Allen, the offense was healthy, 100%. Packers don't have Aaron Rodgers, and you only win 13-7 against Jordan Love. I'm just like, but it was a great defensive effort by the Jags, and a young QB against the 100% Bills. Good for Chiefs. It's just the oddest win I saw all weekend was 13-7 against Jordan Love. Yeah. As for Jordan Love and the Packers, look, clearly we all know that with Aaron Rodgers, they will won. Jordan Love, for everyone to be trying to grade him on this one game, I think is a little immature, simply because it was a bad sort of situation, and they had miscues on special teams. Mason Crosby, for whatever reasons, they missed field goals. It's just unfortunate, but yeah, 13-7, the weirdest of the day for me. And then no Kyler, no DeAndre Hopkins, no problem for the Cardinals. They win 31-17 over the 49ers. Big win for the Cardinals. They rebound off that gut-wrenching defeat against the Packers, and they fire back to beat the 49ers. Colt McCoy had a good day. James Conner had a hell of a day. And 49ers, one of the most disappointing teams, agreed, of the NFC and all of the NFL this season. There's a reason why they went to draft Trey Lance, but he hasn't developed to their liking. So they're writing Jimmy G. But it's not really working too much. Now, it was close versus the Packers. It was close for the most part versus the Colts. Here, it's just... I'm glad that George Kittle is back, but yeah, disappointing for the Niners. And then statement, statement, statement. 28-16, Titans win Sunday Night Football, beat the Rams and SoFi. Their defense played their butts off. You know, while I picked the Rams, I'm very happy for Titans because, you know, obviously Derrick Henry being out, you felt there was going to be a bit of a drop off. Nonetheless, now it wasn't flashy on offense, but the offense did what it needed to do and capitalize on the mistakes of the Rams and did their job. Jeffrey Simmons had a monster night. Denico Autry, Kevin Byard. I mean, defense just showed up, harassed Matthew Stafford. Rams, here's what I'll say. When you're an explosive offense, you need protection. And when Matthew Stafford had difficulty, I think they're experiencing some of the same problems with same as the Chiefs, where they need to, and I get it, they're explosive, they have a very good core of receivers, but they need to find ways to get little layups as opposed to just going for the three-pointer almost every play. And, I'll give the Titans respect because I know much of people will not give the Titans respect. And, they beat the Bills, they beat the Chiefs, they beat the Colts. Here they beat the Rams. And they have to be respected. They have to be. I mean, look, I get it. They lost to the Jets and they got blown out by the Colts. Those are away. What here is now, and the Titans are for real. They are for real. They are one of the best teams in the NFL. I'm not going to say they're the best in the AFC. I'm not going to say they're the best in the NFL. But they need to be respected. Because if you keep on disrespecting them, they will make you pay. And their defense, if it continues to get better, if Ryan Tannehill just does what he needs to do, they will be a headache for anyone. And looking at the AFC, there's not one dominant team, really. And, Titans could very well, because looking at the timeline of Derrick Henry, he will come back, whether it's late in the season or the playoffs. He will come back. And again, if they just do enough, watch out. And then, heck of a way to end week 9 of the NFL season. Steelers win 29-27. Justin Fields, I will say, a gutsy performance. He did what he needed to. He showed improvement. And that's what you like to see out of a rookie QB. it's hard to judge all these rookie QBs, Lance, Lawrence, and I get it with the hype, Zach Wilson. But what you want to see is improvement. We've seen improvement out of Trevor Lawrence. We've seen improvement out of Mac Jones. The jury's still out on Zach Wilson and Trey Lance. But we've also seen improvement of Justin Fields, and we saw that more on display against the Steelers, and good for them. But Boswell and the Steelers manufactured a late field goal. Bears had over 10 penalties. Now, what I will say on another note, the NFL has to get more consistent with the penalties because it is getting ridiculous. It is getting ridiculous with some of these penalties. We saw on Sunday, particularly also in the Sunday Night Football game between the Titans and the Rams, ridiculous penalty on Aaron Donald. And, taunting penalty on Cash Morse. Look, I get what they're trying to do with the taunting penalty. But all I'm saying is be consistent. Because when they're bad, they're bad. Like really bad. That's all I have to say. And I don't want to rant too much. I just want to say be consistent, I hope, with the penalties. Alright. Week 9 out of the books. UFC 268. So, UFC 268 was on Saturday night. Headlined by Kamaru Usman, Colby Covington, the rematch 2. Also, Rose Namajunas versus Zon Wali 2. Justin Gaethje versus Michael Chandler. Oh man. I mean, still got another month and a half in the year, but that fight we saw on Saturday night, that was a fight of the year candidate between Michael Chandler and Justin Gaethje. Oh man. I mean, what more could you say about both toughness? I'm not really sure who won the fight, but as a fan's perspective, I can just say it was a fun fight. Chandler, he hurt Gaethje a couple times in the first round, but Gaethje fired back. And then you notice along the round that Gaethje was landing those leg kicks, and they were affecting Chandler. And by the second round, you saw that the zing wasn't as much as it was for Chandler, and he was dropped in second with a beautiful uppercut. But Chandler stayed in there, and then third round, fired back at each other, and Gaethje managed to pull away, and just a great fight between the two. Great fight. All right. Also, note of the main event. The main event was very fun as well. Usman versus Covington too. Colby, people are gonna hate on him because of his character and the way he acts, but you can't deny he's a great fighter. Usman is just tacking on, tacking on. He's just great, and not much to say. Good night fights overall. Alright, now transitioning to week 10 of the NFL season. So now, getting away from the second half, we start off on November 11th, 11/11. Start off Thursday Night Football. Ravens go to Miami, play the Dolphins. Tua says, let's see about that. Ravens, big win over the Vikings. They battled adversity. Here are the Dolphins. The Dolphins, their defense isn't what it was last year, but they can still be a pain in the butt. And they can keep this close for a good chunk, but I see the Ravens pulling ways. Ravens 7.5 point favorites. So I got the Ravens winning 31-20. Then we got the Bills Sunday after that ugly loss in Jacksonville. They go to the Meadowlands, take on their rival Jets. Bills 13-point favorites. Bills' offense has looked sluggish, and I cannot pick them to cover right now. I'm not saying I'll pick the Jets, but I expect the Jets to cover right now until I see otherwise. So I'm picking the Bills to win 23-17 over the Jets. And we don't know who's going to play at quarterback, which is strange, but we'll see. Next, we got the Buccaneers off a bye week. They go to Washington, play Washington football team. Rematch of the playoffs last season when Washington was a headache for Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, 9.5 point favorites. I mean, it's really hard to pick against Tampa Bay off a bye. Washington has been utterly disappointing for me. Tampa Bay will cover 29-19. That's what I get. Then we got an interesting one up ahead. Falcons, now 500. They go to Dallas, play the Cowboys, who are a bit reeling after that ugly loss to the Broncos. Cowboys, 9-point favorites against these Falcons. You know, Dan Quinn's got to have some uneasy feeling after last season with that failure to cover the onside kick and lose it as the head coach of the Falcons. Now he's the defense coordinator of the Cowboys. You know, it has been craziness throughout the NFL the last few weeks. So you can't really be safe with favorites. And Falcons, I think, are confident. Falcons, they're using Cordell Patterson right. They're using Kyle Pitts more. I'm not sure. You have to pick some upsets more. That's the way it's been seen in the past few weeks. I've been going back and forth. I'm going with the Falcons. 24-21 in Dallas. It's just spread's too big for me. So then we got one of the premier matchups of the week. Saints, now 5-3, going to Tennessee against arguably the hottest team in the NFL right now, the Titans. Titans 3-point favorites. Second week without Derrick Henry. Now, the Saints looked stagnant on offense for the majority of the game, but they found their stride and were ahead late until surrendering that pass to Patterson. Now, still got Kamara, and they got Ingram. They got a nice 1-2 punch. Defense is still solid. So obviously has Cameron Jordan, Lattimore, and Demario Davis. But they can surrender some plays in the passing game. And we know for the Titans, that's going to be their bread and butter. Try to gash them in big plays. The Saints, Titans, I think with another week, running back by committee, defense getting better. I just can't pick against the Titans. So, although I think it'll be a bit ugly, I still see the Titans winning 26-23. Or actually, that's a push, so 27-23 Titans. So then we got Colts off by. They play the Jags. Or no, wait. They played the Jets, excuse me. But it felt like a mini bye. They played the Jags, coming off their biggest win, probably ever, against the Bills. You know, as good as it was defensively, they only scored 9 points on the offense at the same time. Trevor Lawrence, he has a low ankle sprain, so he won't miss any time, but he's not 100%. I don't think he is. And Colts are still fighting for something. They're 4-5 now. You know, they're very much still in the mix for a playoff berth. So I'm going with the Colts. Get this done 26-21 over the Jags. Next, interesting. Steelers, who came down to the wire versus the Bears. Now they host the Lions off a bye, the winless Lions. Now, Steelers aren't a juggernaut of a team. So, yes, while it may be an upset for the Lions, you could see them getting their first win of the season here. Because we know they play hard. But against the Eagles, they did not play hard. They played uninspired versus the Eagles. Here against the Steelers, they may look close and they may look hard, or they may play hard, on the scoreboard, but I'm going to go with 24-20. Steelers get it done over the Lions. Then we got arguably the best game of Week 10. Browns go to New England to play Patriots. 5-4 now versus 5-4. Crucial game for the AFC playoffs, I would say. Patriots 1-point favorites. You know, Browns played much better. It was a must-win versus the Bengals. Baker Mayfield played much healthier. Nick Chubb played great. Defense played inspired. Now Denzel Ward back. Patriots, they've been improving. Since starting 1-3, they're 3-1 since, or 4-1 since. I'm going to go with the Browns. To get this on close, but I think it will be close. 27-22 Cleveland. Then we get what could be an exciting game. Vikings go to SoFi to play the Chargers. Chargers 2.5-point favorites. You know, obviously the Vikings played tough against the Ravens, but the offense fell flat in the end. Chargers play a tough outing versus the Eagles. I think it'll be a tight game. I'm going with the Chargers, though, to get it done 30-26 and SoFi. Then we got an interesting game as well. Panthers going to Arizona. Cardinals 9.5-point favorites. You know, Sam Darnold, it's sad to watch. I mean, I thought he was turning the corner. He needs to rebound and big. Now, against the one-loss Cardinals, it's a tough task, with or without Kyler Murray. We'll see. Hopefully he proves me wrong, but I'm going with the Cardinals 30-17 over the Panthers. Next, we got the Eagles. The Eagles who are humming around. Go to Denver to play now the 5-4 Denver Broncos. Broncos 3-point favorites. This feels like it could be an upset. Just feels like it. You know, now with the O-line being healthy again, Graham Glasgow is hurt. I'm going with the Eagles. Get it done over Broncos. 26-24. Next, we got an unknown game, pretty much. An unknown. So, Seattle, Russell Wilson expected to make his return for the season against the Packers and Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers can't return to the team till Saturday. So, provided both are playing, this should be a fun attraction. So, we believe Russell Wilson is going to play. Aaron Rodgers is still unknown. So, but look, everyone's speculating, everyone's saying, oh, he's hurting the team, this, that. I think Aaron Rodgers will do everything in his being to come back, have a good game against the Seahawks, and quiet down everyone that's been claiming he's hurting his team. I'm going with the Packers in exciting fashion. Beat the Seahawks 31-23. Next, we got Sunday Night Football in the AFC West. We got the Chiefs going to Las Vegas. Chiefs 3-point favorites. Chiefs now 5-4. Raiders 5-3. You know, Chiefs credit they won, but it was an unconvincing win. Ugly, and it seems like they're gonna have to do that from now on, because they aren't gonna be what they want to be. They aren't gonna be that explosive team, because people know to not surrender the big play. They know to guard Kelsey as much as they can as well. The Raiders, though, laid an egg against the Giants. And, I mean, last year I predicted the Raiders, and I was almost right in that thriller in Vegas. This time, I'm sure I'll be right this time, because I just don't trust. Now, Chiefs defense has looked better as of late, so I'm not going to say the Raiders will run roughshod all over them. Think this will be a tight game, not as high scoring as some may expect, but I'm going to go with the Raiders. Get this on 24-22 and get their 6th win of the season. Then we got, to wrap up week 10, Monday Night Football in Santa Clara. Rams have that butt whooping against the Titans. Going to San Fran to play the Niners. The Niners, I don't know what to say. Without Kyler, without DeAndre Hopkins, I just don't know what the 49ers right now. Rams, I know they'll be pissed. I know they'll want to right the ship. So I'm going to go with the Rams. Get it done. 28-23. And get a much needed win. Alright, so that's week 10. And one last thing to wrap up the episode. Now, I know I haven't spoken about the NBA much so far, and the season has started again about 10 games in for most of the teams, and it's a long season to go. So, if I don't talk much about basketball or baseball, it's a long season. So, not as short as football. But some things I want to talk about as far as the NBA are a few teams in particular. For starters, Pelicans miss Zion. They are 1-9, tied with the worst record in the league, and they miss Zion. They just miss that shell, and Zion, he needs to get his. I don't want to insult him. I don't want to make it sound like I'm saying stuff, but he needs to get his act together a little bit. He needs to get in shape. You know, if he's injured or whatever, but if he's healthy, he needs to get in shape and get back for his team because they just miss Zion, I feel. Now, they do have Brandon Ingram, Valanciunas. I like them, but they need Zion. Another matter. The Bulls look real good. The Bulls look real good. 7-3. You know, DeRozan, Levine, Vucevic, and Lonzo. That is a heck of a four, and they look so far like a playoff team to me. They seem so, and Chicago and the Bulls, they just look good. Look real good. Along with the Heat. But lastly, the team I want to talk about. The Golden State Warriors have the best record in the league, 8-1. They could be the best team in the NBA right now. I mean, Steph Curry, he's looked good. Not really like Steph Curry, but he's looked good. Jordan Poole has done well. Andrew Wiggins has played well at times. Along with Draymond Green. Still no Klay Thompson back yet, but the Warriors are to be taken seriously this year, and much to say, again, a long season ago, but those are my thoughts and takeaways so far the NBA season so far. But nonetheless, thank you all for the podcast and episode today. If you like this video, click that like, click that subscribe if you want to see more. Be back later this week with my reviews, and next week, episode number 74. But thank you. Be safe. Peace.